The following program is paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Fresno on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Craig Barton.
Good morning, Central California. I am your host, Craig Barton, and welcome to the Real Estate Radio Network, the most important hour of radio each week here on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Real Estate Radio is a show dedicated to bringing some rational thought to the crazy world that we live in and helping you to rebuild the Central Valley's housing and credit markets. Within every market, there are solutions, Michelle, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice, and that's exactly what you are going to hear every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Thanks so much for joining us. We got a full studio this morning.
I know. I'm excited.
People actually woke up to come in and share them.
You mean they came to the studio this morning? Is
Yes.
that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
You mean our guests?
Our guests.
Well, you
yes.
act like that's the only person listening to our show today. It's kind of offensive, actually. People got out of bed this morning and turned on the radio. If
Once
you're
again, Johnny, she
mistaken.
Takes it, yeah, she
if
is.
You're not mistaken. I
she
mean, come
takes
on.
it the wrong way. Okay.
Well, he makes an assumption like nobody else in the world got up this morning.
Our marriage has gone horribly wrong.
I'm excited about our guest today.
I am too. We're so fortunate. We've got Paul Franco,
Good morning,
attorney at
Paul.
law,
Good morning.
jack of all trades, right?
Master of none? No, that's not what we say. That's not what we say.
No.
I'm excited. You know that Paul's an attorney in the real estate world, and so I have so many questions for him.
Yeah.
Asked for some legal advice already. He told me no.
We could actually turn this into a 7 to 9 a.m. time slot here this
With
morning.
Paul here,
With
we
Paul,
could.
yes,
Yeah,
we
he's
could.
got a lot of good stuff.
Again, Paul Franco here in the studio with us.
Thanks for joining us.
To answer all of our questions, or at least those that we can get to in this hour this morning, in this litigious
Yeah, he
world
said
that
there's
we
some
live
I
in.
should hold back on.
Yeah?
Yeah. Don't ask all of my questions.
Yeah. Got to keep some mystery behind the curtain.
That's it.
As well, we're also very fortunate to have my repetitive co-host.
Oh, you're talking about me? I
That didn't
thought you
sound-
already introed me because I've
Yeah.
been talking for like 10 minutes now.
Michelle and Pettis here in the studio with us
Good
this
morning, Craig. Thanks for having me.
Behind Mission Control, Johnny B.
Mission Control?
How you doing, Johnny?
Wow.
Yeah, happy Sunday.
Hey, that's kind of an honor. Mission Control? You. Rock on.
Well, the Real Estate Radio Network gives us the opportunity to reach so many people efficiently for one full hour each and every week.
See? The callers are coming
Here
already.
we go. Wants to see
Sorry.
your property already. There
Sorry.
you go.
Forgot to turn it off. Sorry.
Yes, that's 800-979-3958. That is right there.
I know. People
Yep.
have the number memorized already.
Yes, our goal with the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
Back home.
Well, on today's show, what are the top 5 reasons that Californians have said that they purchased a home in 2013?
Am I supposed to have that? Do I know that already?
I'm usually, this is where you come up with the creative chatter.
Oh,
yes.
the
And if you
top
were-
5 reasons?
Yeah, the top 5 reasons.
Yeah, I don't want to go there.
Okay, if you were a buyer or if you were a seller, what would happen? I'm just saying, what if? What would happen if you saw a 40% increase in the inventory in your market currently? What would that do?
Which one am I, a buyer or a seller?
Well, we are going to address both.
Oh, okay.
And President Obama proposes fundamental overhaul of U.S. mortgage system.
Oh, my gosh. Do you know that he was in a rodeo this week?
Was he really?
He was. There was a clown that dressed up as Obama in the rodeo for
Wow.
bulls to bang on him. Yeah,
Really?
you missed it. Sorry.
So this was the clown? Or
I think
this,
Obama's on vacation, so I'm wondering if it was
he is
really
at
him.
Martha's Vineyard, right? At the, or was?
Well, no, I think he's in a clown outfit at
somewhere.
the rodeo.
Gotcha.
Anyway, sorry, off subject.
So if there
but,
was a fundamental overhaul of the U.S. mortgage system, how exactly would it affect how mortgages are made? We're going to talk about that. And real quickly, we're going to address what is a HUD home and what are the advantages of buying a HUD home in today's extremely competitive real estate environment. And as we mentioned, we also have Paul Franco from Paul Franco Law here in the studio with us to help navigate.
What's that word?
Navigate us through the litigious world that we live in.
Litigious. It sounds so caviar,
So caviar.
doesn't it? Litigious. People don't even know what that means.
Like if you-
Litigation. We're talking about
suing
Somebody
people.
sued somebody somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure you stay with us. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the words that we use on our show this morning, please give us a call anytime, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958.
Because the word of today is litigious.
It is. Awesome. Take us with you wherever you go. I'm about 260. Michelle is...
I don't have a suitcase that big to take you anywhere I go.
Yeah. But take us with take us with you wherever you go, and listen to us on your smartphone with the iPeak Tuner app that you can download at your app store, or listen to us online at kmjnow.com. You can also check out our resources online. Go to our website, search for your new home at valleywidesells.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords.
Friend of Valley Wide on Facebook.
Or use press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley Wide.
To get connected to us, i.e. call into the show anytime, we'd love to hear from you. Well, let's take a look at today's hot property. Today's hot property is brought to you by Perfect Inspections. Whether it's residential, multifamily, commercial, use press 4 keywords, Perfect Home Inspections, or call Dale Devereaux today for your perfect inspection at 352-6941. Again, that's 352-6941. And just to highlight, next week's show, we are going to have Dale Devereaux from Perfect Inspections on. So I don't know if anybody knows, he has quite an interesting background. Quite an interesting fellow. Great guy to do your inspections, and I can't wait to have him on here and talk about it. Yes, we also have Sue Davila from Fidelity Home Warranty.
Oh, yeah. What's the difference between a home warranty and a home warranty insurance and a home inspection, and how do they all work together to protect our buyers? Awesome.
Exactly. Well, today's hot property is 687 North Easy Avenue, Clovis, California.
Easy? Really?
Easy is still on the market.
It's Ezzy.
Ezzy, sorry.
The office. Some people say Ezzy, some people say Easy. So I'm just curious. If somebody knows, please call me. Because I'm really concerned about whether we have this easy property
or
over
it's
here.
really located on
Ezzy.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. And honestly, it's a great fixer-upper. Have you been there? I've been there.
Yes,
great fixer-upper. Haven't found the right buyer for it yet, though. Clovis Schools.
Yep, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,528 square feet, built in 1992.
It's on a nice little cul-de-sac, if I recall.
Appraised
really
for $199,000 with an FHA appraisal. Needs a little carpet, needs a little paint. In other words, it could use some sprucing.
Yeah, it needs some prettifying.
There are no repairs that are required
for a FHA loan.
Exactly, per the FHA appraisal for this property. So it qualifies in its current state, in its current condition, as is, whereas for FHA financing.
Yeah, you can buy it with the dirty carpet, but we can recommend a carpet person to come in.
We can.
The aesthetic stuff is all it really needs.
Again, gingerbread.
Is that what we call it?
Yes,
gingerbread?
I call it gingerbread, yes.
All right.
If you'd like more information about today's hot property, give us a call. Please call us anytime, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958.
But you will get voicemail now.
But you will get voicemail right at the moment. Or use press 4 as that first person did. We only answer the phone
We
during
have
the
to
breaks.
mute you right now.
Yes. Give us a call. Again, or use press 4 keywords, KMJ Hot Property. It's okay if there's
taking
an echo.
my thunder there.
And we'll send you more information about this hot property right to your phone. Look for more hot properties each week right here on the Real Estate Radio Network. Well, I mentioned that this property was a HUD home. So we're going to cover real quick. Exactly. This week we were fortunate enough we had Tom Rose, the head of the Santa Ana Homeownership Center's REO division for HUD here in Fresno.
So many acronyms.
Oh,
REO.
my gosh.
HUD.
There's only 4 directors that hold that position nationally.
Nationally? Okay.
And he was one of them. We had him here in Fresno.
Was he here to speak? What was he here to discuss?
He was. He was here to speak. The National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, or NAREP, had a presentation this week that they put on down at the local HUD office downtown, right across from the Soroyan Theater. That went from 10 to 12 on Tuesday. And then from 1 to 4 o'clock, we had the great fortune to have one of the asset managers that covers California, which is BLB Resources. We had the president and CEO, Rod Gaston, along with Ray Warda, the marketing outreach director here in Fresno.
Nice.
Great opportunity to get together with local listing brokers there were some from Los Angeles all the way up through north of the Bay Area.
Wow.
to get together and really kind of collaborate and talk about what are the things that we need to do in order to get better at what we do.
And what each market is dealing with, I assume, might be a little different?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most definitely. What are some of the common problems that we're seeing in this market or up in the Sacramento market or or in the Bay Area, Contra Costa County, Tulare County, Kern County, excuse me. But a HUD home specifically, folks, it's a property that previously had FHA financing on it. And FHA is a government insurance program. So as Tom Rose put it, we are an insurance agency. I mean, we are an insurance company, and we provide underlying insurance for investors on the secondary market that want to fund loans under FHA guidelines, but want the safety of a government-insured program that will indemnify them or make them whole.
If there's a problem.
If there's a problem.
Just like FDIC for the banks.
Exactly. Kind of like FDIC. So the previous homeowner had FHA financing on the property and unfortunately lost it.
But there was that insurance policy in place.
There was that insurance policy in place. And as long as that case binder, that loan originally was able to be insured, meaning that the underwriter followed all HUD's guidelines, and it was insured, that the lender, let's say it was Bank of America. Bank of America takes the property back and then does a trash out, rekey, and then files an insurance claim with HUD. As long as everything was filed and followed appropriately as far as the process is concerned, the lender, Bank of America, is then made whole.
They're paid off, just like an insurance policy.
Exactly. And then HUD takes the property and then markets it as a HUD home. And HUD's primary directive is to encourage homeownership and nationally and make homeownership easier.
For families. It's their first priority, correct?
Exactly.
Housing and urban development.
Who can buy a HUD home? During the first 30 days, it's owner-occupants only. So any HUD home that is insured or possesses an insured or insured with escrow status during the first 30 days currently will only qualify for owner-occupants. So investors or second home are not eligible until it has been listed for 30 days. Now, what Tom told us this week is that they are going to shorten that from 30 to 15. And the reason being is that properties, the first 10 days that a HUD home comes on the market are for viewings and bid submissions. So folks can go out. They don't have to kill themselves. They don't have to, oh, my gosh, we've got to get an offer in right now.
No, you got 10 days.
The market's, the water is
Take your time.
Breathe. Exactly. The 11th day after the closing, the bid deadline closing, all bids, if it's a business day, are open as if they're received simultaneously. It's a sealed bid process.
It's like the Grammys. And the winner is.
Exactly. The highest net to HUD is the offer that's accepted, as long as it meets their minimum acceptable net that they have set. Well, right at the moment, if a property doesn't sell during that first 10-day period on day 11, what Tom said is that most properties, he says, we don't sell a whole lot of properties between day 16 and day 30.
No. You know why? Everybody's waiting for a reduction.
Everybody's waiting for a price reduction.
Yeah.
And if you're familiar enough with the process, what typically happens is day 35 to 45, somewhere in there, you see a price reduction.
So everybody
sits. That price reduction is 10%. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to bring investors in
earlier.
They're still protecting owner-occupants during the first 30 days, which is very similar to Fannie Mae's first look.
So does that mean investors can make their offer during that time?
No.
Before any reduction?
Still can't make an offer during the first 15 days. But on day 16, if no offers have been accepted from an owner-occupant, then investors can begin to submit offers.
So are they thinking the investors will have more of a fight to the finish at that point than they do currently?
HUD's primary directive is not only to encourage home ownership to owner-occupants, but their job is to replenish their reserves in that general insurance fund as quickly as possible. So the concern is that anything that they can do along the way to shorten that period of time, they want to do that.
Gotcha.
And as long as it doesn't put that prime directive of home ownership for owner-occupants at risk, then here's the deal. They're going to go from 30 down to 15, and then on the 16th.
Still gives those clients the time.
They're still protected.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Exactly. A couple things to stress. It's extremely important that you utilize an agent that understands the HUD home process.
Oh, my goodness.
And also
that's an understatement.
A lender that understands the HUD home process as well.
And if you are using someone who doesn't, call our office. Have your agent call our office is all I have to say.
And I say
get an education on it.
Correct. I say that respectfully because our goal is, number one, not to undermine the pre-existing relationship that you have with your agent, but to stand alongside you and your agent and try, as best we can, help your offer be successful on how it's structured, what it asks for, and so forth.
There's a whole team of people in our office ready to help you on that.
Exactly. One last thing is, in today's competitive real estate market, which we're going to talk about the dynamics of the market here shortly, is overbidding. Be prepared. If you are an owner-occupant utilizing FHA financing, that property's already been appraised. So the list price is the appraised value. And keep in mind, your financing is always going to be based upon the lesser of sales price or appraised value, whichever is less.
Paul and I are going to talk about that.
You are.
I already had some questions on it.
You are. So there are huge advantages for owner-occupants with regards to FHA financing. The best type of financing that works with HUD homes is FHA financing, bar none, without fail. Love it. So anybody that has any questions, if you do have questions with regards to what is a HUD home, please give us a call, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. Let's transition to top stories in the news with regards to Fresno County and Fresno County listings, just the sheer numbers. In the last 7 weeks since Chairman Bernanke made his comments with regards to the government's wholesale $84 billion per month commitment to buying mortgage-backed or buying bonds, we've seen a huge increase. Now, whether it is directly related or not, because I think I don't know that you can say unequivocally that it is as a result of that increase in mortgage rates. We saw, as an example, rates, and I'm not going to bring it up.
You're not going to bring up that I lost the bet.
Yes, you did.
I owe you lunch.
Yes, and I haven't collected yet.
3.5 and 30.
3.5 and 30.
You know,
and it went up to 4.625 with an APR of about 4.87, and it dropped down to, Well, we've seen inventory increase by over 400 units in that last 7-week period. Now, was it a direct result of some buyers just stepping back from the market and saying, you know what, I need to stop? My purchasing power dropped by roughly 10% in the matter of 2 days.
You want me to speculate?
Go ahead.
I cannot prove this.
It's space aliens, right? Is that what you're going to say?
I speculate those investors are putting those houses back on the market as quick as they can before they lose that pool of buyers. That's my thought.
Yeah. Well, when you see
that doesn't mean I'm right, but that's my thought.
When you see inventory increase by roughly 40%,
that's a lot of houses
over a 7-week period of time. It's a great thing.
And I don't know how many individuals are putting the houses on the market, because the majority that I'm showing right now are investor owned.
Well, let's just say this. In today's current active inventory, 1,437 active listings. We've got roughly 2 months' worth of inventory. 97 of those, or 6.7%, are short sales. 92 of those, or 6.4%, are real estate owned, or REOs. And 1,248 are, or 86.8%, are considered traditional listings, which does include
investors.
Any of those investors that are buying and flipping.
And we gave the example, if you were approved for $175,000 and you got hit with that increase, you now are only approved for $158,000. And investors saw that, are watching it, and they get the best bang for their buck. They better get those houses sold that they have in inventory before they're not able to sell them to that first-time home buyer.
Well, we are seeing the proverbial pendulum swinging. Because not only was it a seller's market, but buyers were there was so much pressure on prices, 31.8% May over May, 2012 to 2013, just too much appreciation, too fast. Nothing ever happens good when it happens fast, like that. It
could be taken in so many directions. Okay, we're going to move on.
That was it.
Wowzers.
What do we do with her? We needed to slow down. We need the pendulum to continue to swing. We need somewhere probably in excess of about 2,000 units to see where there is a greater degree of equilibrium in today's market, where buyers aren't forced to do as crazy a things. Now, granted, it'll take a little time because sellers still think that they're standing at the top of the mountain.
That's going to swiftly change.
Until they have firsthand knowledge of, wow, why am I not, they're yelling at their agents, why am I not getting as many looks or showings as far as the property is concerned? Well, extremely important to note, 400 units will slow your roll as a seller. You get an excess, you get another, we're trending somewhere between right around 650 closings per month year to date. We add, so get us up over 2,000 units, and now we're 3 months in inventory. And most economists say that in a normalized market, if we're somewhere between 3 and 5, and probably closer to 3 to 4, we see that market equilibrium where buyers begin to gain a little greater foothold. And they can begin to say, I want that fixed, or I want to ensure that I'm not foregoing my right to inspections, but I can ask for a little bit more. Maybe a seller concession.
Yeah. We hopefully will see some of that. But let me tell you, rates go up, and then that's going to be that equilibrium is going to be off again. We're going to have to really watch it as we go forward.
And it could cause the numbers to increase.
Upset in the market.
If it's difficult to say. It's difficult to say. However, though, it's interesting how the timing of both those comments by Ben Bernanke and then the interest rates jumping, and now all of a sudden inventory's up 40+% in Fresno County.
Yeah, but Obama was at the carnival or the rodeo last week, so I'm fairly certain he's not going to call Ben and say raise rates because
because he's already done it.
He's being chased by the bull right now.
Yeah, I doubt he's going to be able to get to a phone anytime soon.
Anytime soon.
Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that we're sharing with you on our show, we cannot confirm nor can we deny whether President Obama is being chased by a bull. Give us a call anytime, 800-979. Probably be faster if you go to YouTube or Google. 800-979-3958. We'd love to hear from you. Take us wherever you go.
If you dare.
If you dare. Sometimes we're inappropriate. And listen to us on the iPeak Tuner app that you can download at your app store, or listen to us online at kmjnow.com. You can also check out our resources online. Search for your new home. Go to valleywidesells.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 keywords.
Friend Valleywide on Facebook.
Or use Press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valleywide.
To get connected to us anytime, we'd love to hear from you. Well, after the break, we're going to begin our conversation with Paul Franco with regards to why is everybody so litigious? That's the...
litigious is the word of the day.
The word of the day. Yep. After the break, make sure you stay with us. You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping you to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valleywide help. Valleywide Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free, 800-979-3958, and put the seasoned professionals at Valleywide Homes to work for you. Valleywide Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use Press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Did you know that all the tickets you can buy on different websites come from the same place? Did you know that you can buy every ticket you need to any event in the country, the whole country, from Pete's Seats right here in Fresno? If that's the case, you need to call Pete's Seats. Any ticket, anytime. Sports, concerts, theater. Hey, there's seats, and then there's Pete's Seats. Premium tickets for all events, local, national, worldwide. Don't settle for a regular seat when you can get a really good Pete's Seat. Online at peteseats.net or simply 294-SEAT. That's 294-7328.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097, and take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
You know, Michelle, we were down actually at the break. We stepped outside real quick, and somebody was getting sued in the hallway. That's why
it's kidding me?
I kid you not.
It's such a litigious world we're living in.
Thank you. You know, that was a very good use of that term.
Hey, I'm trying. The word of the day.
The word of the day is litigious. We're so fortunate to have Paul Franco from Paul. And Paul, the name of your company is Paul C. Franco.
Attorney at law.
Attorney at law.
That's really original, Paul.
It is. Well,
did your mom help you out with that?
It's just me.
I love it. I love it.
Did your mom help you out with that?
Well,
just so
I'm
you know,
pretty
Paul's
sure she
never
did.
going to come back after that comment.
No, he'll be back because I'm trying to book him for 1031. Don't talk about it.
Well, there you go. All right. So, Paul. Wow. I'm speechless. That doesn't happen often. So, Paul, in today's fast-paced and somewhat critical real estate market, and when I say critical, it might be critical on behalf of the seller, critical on behalf of the buyer, critical on behalf of multiple sellers. You're probably keeping busy right at the moment.
You know, I am, and I'm picking up in a pretty fast way.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of activity that is going on now in terms of litigation and even transactions overall are picking up, and this is something that hasn't been the case since about 2008 when the market
before the market crashed.
Before the market crashed, of course, I was busy right before then, but there's been a lull.
A little fraud going on you had to handle.
That's right. Like a lot of us, I haven't been as busy, but now it's starting to pick up with I think the turnaround of the economy and certainly the turnaround of the real estate market. All sides. I mean, as far as I can see, residential, ag is certainly up.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't do a lot of commercial, but I understand that's up as well.
So give our listeners a little bit of a little tidbit in terms of background and experience.
Okay. I've been an attorney for about 15 years. Real estate is a large part of my practice. I'm also a business lawyer and handle quite a bit of trust and estate work, which frankly all dovetail together. And from a real estate side, I'm very involved in agriculture and residential especially. I'm the attorney for the Fresno Association of Realtors. I represent home buyers, sellers, agents.
Fortunately, we've never gotten a call from Paul with regards to...
and I'm a member.
And that's why I'm saying this.
But on that note, I'd love to ask a little more because... I haven't gotten a call, thank heavens. But tell us more about.
To know how not to get a call.
No. But what types of tasks does that put you in charge of, as far as when they're calling? What are they calling for?
Oh, you mean in terms of the association?
The association, yeah. Just out of curiosity, because I do pay fees. I'm sure that gives me some kind of clout.
Paul is one of your member benefits.
Right on. But honestly, are you there as a mediator? Are you there as someone who is?
That's a good question. Really, what I am is I'm the attorney to the board. To the board, which is the obviously the group that manages the association, makes and enforces rules. MLS obviously being a very large part of the association and all of those things that go into it, and all the little issues that agents and brokers deal with that they may or may not like. I advise the board and advise the association in terms of their decision making and things they do.
So if somebody takes something to the board, like a complaint, for instance, they may come to you for advice on how to go forward with that complaint that's come to them.
They may. They have their very well developed over years rules and that sorts of thing. I think maybe where in a case where it may fall in a gray area or it's a very special circumstance, how do we as an association and what we're doing for our members do the right thing? And so I'm more of an advisor behind the scenes to them. But certainly they have a great group of staff and folks there that deal with issues like disputes between agents and that sort of thing.
Right. But they do call you if there's a gray issue. Okay.
Correct.
That helps. That helps me to understand what your place is there, because in some ways you might think it's a contradiction if you're not careful with what you do on a daily basis.
Correct.
So you have to be careful, I would think, as they do, as far as what they're calling you upon.
Yeah, absolutely. And even in my practice as a private attorney, there are sometimes, as we know, conflicts of interest, and there's legal conflict of interest, and then there's sort of business or social conflicts of interest. And when it comes to for instance, my representation of brokers and agents, I try and keep that outside of Fresno.
Gotcha.
I don't, I may have a case in San Jose where I'm suing a broker.
What if I wanted to use you, Paul?
I try and stay away from that here, but I do represent owners and agents if I can stay clear of that sort of thing. And I have a lot of friends across the local real estate community, as you can imagine, from the various agents and brokers. And
awesome.
One of the things that we've seen, obviously, in the last, I'd say, year and a half or 2 years, let's say, is a dilemma for a lot of agents. And actually, it's probably been longer than that. As people were getting very, very desperate, we were seeing offers in excess of asking. Now, in your world, where do you see the gray areas, some potential problems if the property doesn't appraise?
The issue comes up quite a bit lately, and I see it more and more. And where I really sort of put the fault, if you will, is on the seller. The real estate community out there is kind of tight in terms of, we talked about inventory, and that has increased over the last 7 weeks. But really, prior to that and even current, the investor activity is really making it very difficult for the first-time home buyer and the home buyer that plans to reside there. And so competition is tough, and the cash is held by the investors, which we know there's a premium for cash. So what ends up happening is for those folks to feel like they can compete, they feel like they have to, and sometimes are even advised by their agents that they need to go absolutely over asking. There are no deals.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because I know we've had folks who've called our office and said that they're not comfortable working with their agent for whatever reason, but one of the things they had been advised was to bid $10,000 over or $5,000 over, or just these sort ridiculous amount. Rule of thumb on every house they look at. Now, I know that there's good and bad in every industry, and so there are some folks that I would think might be pushing the limits just to push the limits. But as a consumer out there, if you're being advised as such, how would you, as someone who sees this daily, advise them? Should they take that advice? Is that something that you would recommend? Where should what do you recommend?
I think, like so many things in the world, there's no one size fits all. Property, as we all know and as the law treats it, is a very unique thing.
Sure.
There are very many characteristics and things of property, and I don't necessarily agree with that. Sometimes that very well may be the case in order to compete, but sometimes there's repair issues that you can work with, other types of costs. It doesn't need to be an amount over, or even that you need to waive all these other costs because, God forbid, it's a tight market. I shouldn't ask for a repair.
Right. Well, and I think it all comes into play, at least on the offers I'm making, as far as what's the current value of that property.
Right.
And I do have some clients who may say to me, Michelle, it's worth it to me to bid over what the appraised value will be. Okay, if that's the case, then let's put some limitations on it. Let's make a conscious decision, I think, versus a blanket decision.
It's an individual valuation. Correct. It's an individual valuation, as Paul mentioned. It's every single property. There is different. There's no one size fits all. It's case by case.
Sure.
And it's very, very, I think it's very scary. And it's very sad if anyone is suggesting as a real estate professional that this should be our standard protocol as far as our method of operation, whatever you want to call it, that this is how we consistently work on every single property. That's not just prudent business practices. And honestly, ethically, in my book, acceptable.
And it's hurting our market. Let's just be honest. It's hurting the market. It's pushing housing even above where the investors are pushing it.
Well, and let me say there's a consequence to all of this. I mean, let's for instance, this is a real issue that I'm seeing quite a bit, and for my own clients who are sellers. It's flattering. It's nice to have over asking and multiple over asking offers. Anywhere I've seen them from $30,000 on a $300,000 house over. But the question you've got to ask yourself is this thing going to appraise? And aren't I kicking the can down the road for when this buyer comes back and says, hey, this thing didn't appraise. Sorry, I need you to lower the price. Maybe you had a cash buyer sitting there the whole time that wasn't $30,000 over, but was ready to perform. You had a quick escrow, the benefits that go along with that, no appraisal, and now this guy's saying, you got to come down to the appraisal amount. And if that's not the case, do they have the ability or means to come out of pocket some extra money to supplement it?
Right.
Are you going to carry a second, and will your lender even allow that?
Even allow it, certainly. A couple years ago, and I haven't seen this as of late, but a couple years ago, it used to be a standard, or not a standard, but I would see it quite frequently, where an agent would submit an offer on a property, and you knew for a fact that it was in excess of asking based upon comparables and what have you, and that was their method of operation in terms of we would submit it in excess, and they would tell their client, we're just submitting it in excess of, and we'll deal with it when the appraisal comes in, which is dangerous as well. Then you flip it. Let's flip it and let's discuss HUD real quick. We were talking about HUD earlier in the show, or HUD homes. That is an as-is transaction. The property's been appraised. And as of late, we have come across 2 transactions where the agent won property in Clovis. The agent bid roughly about 10% in excess of the FHA appraised value and said, not a problem. My broker said, my assistant had spoken with him and says, no, not a problem. My broker said, we feel like we've got the comparables. Well, this is a planned unit development of townhomes. And there's only so many comparables that are out there. And how far are you going to have to go? I know what the comparables are in that PUD because we've sold a couple of them. This is going to end up coming back where the property is going to come back on the market, and sure enough, it did. Another property in Madera just got into contract. The agent bid $60,000.
Wow.
In excess,
and let's talk about
excess
that,
of asking.
You're a HUD listing agent.
Mm-hmm.
All HUD offers, whether put in by our office or other offices, are put in online. So unless someone calls you and has a conversation with you so that you can help them to be knowledgeable about it, they're doing this all on the fly somewhere else, and we just have to deal with the repercussions.
And the
when
unfortunate
it all
thing
comes
in that
down.
particular instance, same thing as well.
Okay.
Is I have, the agent said, I have the comp or the comps that is going to justify this, and I'm sorry, but
it's a
that's
different
not
animal.
The case. It is not the case, and whether it's a HUD or anything. But the problem there is HUD's not going to renegotiate.
Well, HUD already has done the comps and has an appraisal in hand.
Well, they expect you that if it comes in less, you still have to, you're still tied to your sales price.
Right.
Regardless of appraised value. So your financing, if it comes in
so
at
it's not like a typical transaction, is my point. It's totally different. Totally different.
So let's talk in today's market, being so competitive and so many buyers standing at the curb, Paul, wanting to submit offers on property, multiple offers, and the responsibility between the listing agent and the buyer in terms of consideration of multiple offers, and the responsibility to present all offers.
Well, that's the place to start. The selling agent has an obligation to present all offers. There is nothing certainly that says one offer, particularly the purchase price, is the underwriting factor that highest purchase price wins or anything like that, because as we know, there's all sorts of factors, and I try and stress this. I think there's too much emphasis placed on the purchase price, which don't get me wrong, that is great, but as we talked about, is this thing going to appraise? What sorts of contingencies, a cash versus
what are the
a
terms?
Lender? Right.
Because it may not be your highest offer, but the terms of the contract may be what the seller is looking for. As far as let's take, for instance, someone asks above or offers above or offers asking price, but they want termite inspections and certs, they want roof certs, they want all these other things paid by seller. Well, that offer may not be as lucrative truly as the one that's offering $5,000 less than the asking price.
That's right.
And that's where I think the public doesn't see that. They only see that final number, and that's where we as agents, that's our job, is to advise and to share that information. And here's why this $1 point is going to be stronger. The net. It's all about the net, and which one also is easier to get through escrow. A lot of agents put a lot of information backs that offer. Whichever one's going to be smoothest to get through is what an agent generally is going to advise. Yeah,
and Michelle, I think there's another factor that really can't be undervalued, and that is, people don't want to hear this, but the quality of the buyer. Mm-hmm. Everything may otherwise seem good, the purchase price, the contingencies, the repairs, all the escrow period, that sort of time, but for a lot of different circumstances, not necessarily maybe they're a young couple, maybe they're just somebody that doesn't, they don't have their pre-approvals in line.
Right.
Or even if they do, sometimes there's issues on the surface that just seem like, is this concerns, and it's difficult because as a seller you can't get into their lender issues or their finance issues,
right.
But sometimes you can't help but know some of these ones. That you have the time that they have to show or prove their down payment or the rest of those sorts of things,
sure.
And they're unable to do those right out of the gates. That is a factor that needs to be taken into consideration and has value. So when you look at that, maybe they're a higher purchase price or a higher offer, but this other guy is either all cash or is just a stronger buyer.
Or putting a significant amount of monies down. Let's say that they might be $5,000 less, but it's not all cash, but they're putting $100,000 down on a $250 purchase price.
Right.
And that just might be...
Even with hard money, they're getting in.
Yeah.
Really.
Right.
I mean, they're pretty confident buyers at that point. If
or
maybe $100,000 down.
And maybe there's a contingency that they have to sell their other home.
Correct.
There's things like that.
There's so many variables, and I think that's one of the things the public doesn't understand.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's certainly not all about price.
No, it is not.
That's a very one-dimensional.
It's all about location, darn it. Seriously, location.
Well, after the break, when we come back, we are going to talk to Paul Franco in greater detail and really try to determine, so why do people litigate? Why do people sue?
Why are people so litigious?
So litigious.
Yes.
Exactly. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that Michelle and I share with you, or Paul, for that matter, share with you on the show today, please give us a call, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or use Press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To call into the show anytime. Well, after the break, we are going to spend more time, as we mentioned, with Paul Franco talking about, so why are you going to sue me, Michelle?
I'm not suing you.
Oh, you're not?
I'm taking a partition action.
A partition action, yes.
Yeah, that's a new one for people. I want to explain that when we get back.
There you go. Make sure you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping you to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
All it takes is one call to the professionals at Valley White Homes, and you'll start building wealth in real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing investment property, let the experts at Valley White Homes help. There's never been a better time to get into the real estate market. Visit our website at reofresnohomes.com or call toll-free 800-979-3958. That's 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals of Valley White Homes to work for you. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer, at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use Press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Did you know that all the tickets you can buy on different websites come from the same place? Did you know that you can buy every ticket you need to any event in the country? The whole country. From Pete's Seats right here in Fresno. If that's the case, you need to call Pete's Seats. Any ticket, anytime. Sports, concerts, theater. Hey, there's seats, and then there's Pete's Seats. Premium tickets for all events. Local, national, worldwide. Don't settle for a regular seat when you can get a really good Pete's Seat. Online at peteseats.net or simply 294-SEAT. That's 294-7328.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097, and take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC.
With local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, Paul, we were talking about answering the question, why do people litigate? Or are they so litigious?
In that caviar
word. But let's take a look at, though, let's add a little caveat to it, a little twist to it. We were talking during the break. So, mom and pop, buying a home, someone did wrong them. Someone created exposure, and unfortunately there were damages or harm that was done to that particular individual. Versus, investors are such an important part of the market, but in terms of how investors utilize litigation differently and how the results might differ or what they want to accomplish might be different.
Right. I think for individual homeowners, buyers and sellers in a transaction, you're going to find things that are having to do particularly with the transaction. Maybe somebody couldn't close on time, and so the seller says, hey, time's up. I'm going to go with this other person, and by the way, they're $20,000 more than you are. But then they go back, well, wait a minute, you didn't make your disclosures or you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And there's there's something there. Maybe there's a disclosure issue. Maybe there is just you didn't provide a pest report. You didn't little things like that. Something like that. Financing, appraisal, contingency. Something regarding the transaction. Investors use litigation differently. They use it more as a vehicle, a tool to use to get what they want. And usually what that means is they may institute litigation to try and get a property. So, for instance, I want a property. I lost out on an offer or something like that. I don't want to say that they make up, but in at least the littlest good faith that they can, making an argument, will sue, maybe put a lis pendens on the property, which is a type of a lien, and you're not going to sell it to anyone. So I suggest you sell it to me because I'll tie this thing up for a year and a half,
in court,
make your life miserable. You're not going to do anything. So I'm the guy you want to deal with. It's a bit underhanded, it's a bit nasty, but I guess in my world and the way I see it, it's just more sophisticated than the homeowner consumer type party, which is I really don't want to. I'm left with no choice. I don't want to reach into my pocket to do this.
Or you've already reached in your pocket and it cost me X number of thousands of dollars, and it's just a different world.
It's a different world, and I have lots of investor clients, and I have lots of your consumer type homeowner buyer seller type too, and the way I deal with them is completely different because investors are businessmen.
It's ROI. It's all about the ROI.
Exactly. And I will tell you, though, as an attorney, I like that kind of client because they're the most business-minded ones, and they don't have emotion, and they don't have those sorts of things involved, because the clients that that have that emotion...
No emotion?
You just said it.
How much more personal is one's home?
Right. No, and honestly, this is... our whole job, our whole responsibility, our whole career is based on emotion. Let's think about it. People walk into a house, they fall in love with the house. It's not... that's what it's about, and that's why some of us love what we do, is because we get to assist them with that vehicle to get to their future, mapping out where they want to go in life and raise their family and have their children, and after they get married, the first house they buy, etc. It was grandma's house. Now we're going to sell grandma's house, and everybody, the momentous occasions through life, milestones. So many of us, that is the best part of our job. So when you share it, it just brings the reality to it that for so many now in this market, in this time, in this world we live in, it is all about ROI. And as a culture, agents tend to be most of them seem to be more like me.
Right.
We're looking for the greater good of humanity and things of that nature. And so then when we deal with the investors, it is foreign to us. And we do the best we can in regards to that. There are investors that I work with, but it's different. I guess I probably don't allow those cutthroat type folks to be in my group of clientele.
I was watching. It's funny you say that, because when you say cutthroat folks, I was watching $1 Million Listing.
I don't choose to work with them. I have no reason to. It's not worth it. My return on investment is not there.
I was watching $1 Million Listing last week, and I was just flipping through the channels because there was absolutely nothing on. And this agent, who is one of the stars, the stars on the show, is sitting across from this investor, and he's talking about, this guy bought this property for $6 million. He's telling his client, the investor is saying, you sell it. You tell him, sell it I'll sell it for 7.5 tonight, but it gets done tonight, or I don't want to hear from that buyer again. And I'm thinking, wow.
Yeah.
And then the agent says, I just love it when I do that, because I just made that guy $1.5 million in 2 weeks, because he bought it for 6 and he's flipping it for 7.5, and he made.
At what price?
But that piggybacks on just exactly what you said. It's a business decision, but it's funny how those experienced
sappy agents.
Well, let me tell you a real quick story that just is really emphasizes what I'm talking about. It's a real example, and this happens in law. There's something regarding the concept of breach of contract, where the intentional breach of contract is okay if it results in the economic advantage. It's called the efficient breach theory. And that goes on here. And what I mean by that is, for instance, I have a client recently who gets into escrow with somebody at X dollars. And during that time, someone comes along, cash buyer, wow, I'd have given you this, $30,000 more, don't need an appraisal or anything. Too bad you sold it. Mm-hmm. So he comes to me and says, I got $30,000 sitting here. What do I do? And, well, you don't have cause to not go through with the deal over here. You could willfully or intentionally breach the contract depending on what it's going to take you to resolve this with this guy. So we do it, and buyer doesn't like it. We've canceled escrow, and so we get into a conflict with them. I'm able to resolve that contract for $10,000.
Right. Less than what he made.
Well, he gained 30 by going through with the other contract, so he netted $20,000, although he breached the contract on purpose for economic advantage. And you're talking about someone who was a first-time home buyer that was really upset.
Sure.
But we also gave them $10,000
to go away.
And keep on your hunting.
As upset.
So what you're telling me is that you are the Tony Soprano of real estate, but he does it all on the up to snuff.
Hey, it's all kept above board. It's all kept above board. We don't do anything. I don't know what you're talking about. We don't do anything. Yeah, exactly. Nobody saw a thing.
There's no buried bodies.
Yeah, none. Wowzers. Now and I hope that other family is very happy in their future home.
Hey, that may help them with a down payment.
Yeah, there's their down payment. They're going conventional now.
That's
They were FHA, now they're going conventional.
Now they can go $10,000 over asking on the next house.
Yeah, there you go. It's not nothing.
Oh, my gosh.
Wowzers. So, it is an amazing world we live in. And this is Fresno. We always think we're in this special ecosystem that's so warm and fuzzy, and we have farmers and blah, blah, blah.
So disclosure. Wow. Let's talk disclosures.
Yeah, let's talk disclosure.
Fortunately...
Did you have to disclose? What did you have to disclose in that? I'd be curious to know.
We didn't have to disclose anything. We're not going through with the deal.
Wow. No disclosure, too. I like that. Sorry. No disclosure. I hate disclosures. They're just everywhere.
So, Paul, disclosures.
No.
When it comes time for, Michelle was mentioning there was an agent that was in our office this week, and he's been in the business for
35 years.
35 years. And his comment was, back when I got into the industry, what do you say, Michelle? There was
one page contract and 1 page of disclosures. And now look at it. And I said, yep. Somebody sued somebody somewhere, and for every time we have a piece of paper we get assigned.
Only in California.
I'm sure it's only California. We do the best with all of our options. Come on now.
What are some of the most common disclosure or common instances where you see there's either a lack of disclosure or disclosure related where there's problems in a real estate transaction?
Well, I think the most common type of disclosure issue are repairs and permits, and that can come about by an original owner who has made some repairs during their years of ownership of the property and either never got permits or violates building code. But the fact of the matter is they know about it. An interesting issue is when it comes to investors, guys that have bought properties from foreclosure and may not have the traditional disclosure issues, but that only goes so far. You turn around, you flip it, you don't do anything. When you start tearing into walls, you start doing things, you start finding things, and you start learning things, then your obligation to disclose, at least under common law rules, does it negatively impact or impair the value or desirability of the property? You still have to disclose those things.
Question on disclosure in regards to that. We actually had a conversation recently about these foreclosures, and so it would come into play with the investors as well. When you have someone who has possession of that property, what is the responsibility as far as disclosure?
If they've taken it back through
whether the investor has it now or the bank has it. What is the responsibility of them? Because both entities don't want to tell us anything.
And don't.
Well,
it's similar to what I just said. I think it's one of those things like scratching the surface to the extent that you leave it pristine. I just got it. I've never lived here. Maybe I've never seen it, which is common with investors. That's okay. But when you start flipping and rehabbing and you start tearing into a wall, there's mold here, finding things that you went down to the permit office. Hey, this whole part of your property wasn't permitted, by the way. You're going to have to do this, and they don't disclose some things. That's where they can enter into an area of disclosure, and maybe it's not statutory disclosure, but maybe it's at least the common law disclosure. Does it negatively impact the desirability and value of the property?
So let's utilize my story real quick.
Go ahead.
I'm out at a HUD home that was we took on into inventory about a year and a half ago, and it was a Saturday morning, and I'm out there, and I've got my boys with me, and it's the listing day inspection. So we're putting the stake in the yard, we're putting up the sign, and I'm putting the sign in, and all of a sudden, howdy! I jumped, and he says, "Hi, my name's Bob. I'm the nosy neighbor." Literally, I kid you not. This is exact.
It's not a good story.
I'm the nosy neighbor. So who are you? And so I proceed to identify myself. Here's my business card. Great. Oh, great. So how much you listing the property for? So we get into this long, drawn-out conversation. So did anybody ever tell you that the young lady that used to live here died in the property? No. Because the legal owner of the property is the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And they, through foreclosure, and they're not the previous owner was her, then taken back by the bank. Then the bank, in turn, files the insurance claim. Then HUD gets the property. So there's a chain. HUD doesn't have any obligation, per se, as far as they don't know what happened in the property. But now I know, based upon what the next-door neighbor states. So... And you tell me whether what we did was accurate or not. So I'm exposing myself, not in a bad way. But so what I did at that point is we did a little research, who the previous owner was. We searched the internet. So I went and did a transaction history as far as who she was. I pulled up some information regarding this individual, and sure enough, found out the dates that she had passed. And at that point in time, every agent that I came into contact with, I disclosed that that this particular, I just want you to know, the federal government has no responsibility to disclose because they took the property back through the process of foreclosure. I, however, being privy to this because the next door nosy neighbor Bob came over and said, "Hey, just so you know," and disclosed to everyone at that point from there on out. And this was the unfortunate thing is it's sealed bid process. So the winner calls me and I said, "Hey," because we have no idea who's submitted offers. Just so you know, it's an important thing for us. We will be disclosing to you that the previous owner did pass on the property. So if it is important to your client, make sure you disclose that to him right now. We will be getting disclosures over to you. In other words, our standard disclosures we are required through the Bureau of Real Estate. BRE. However, though, if you want to cancel, we need to know as quickly as possible so we can let the seller know. Because some folks you might just say, yeah.
There's a lot of people who would not want that property.
I think this is what I would say is, to the extent there's any issue, always disclose.
Yep. Gotcha.
Now, do you disclose that the neighbor shared, or should he have gone to the extent that he went to?
He didn't have an obligation, I don't think, to go to the extent that he did. I still would have just maybe disclosed, but doesn't have an obligation to investigate and that sort of thing.
So you disclose that, hey, I've been told this. I don't know if it's true. It's up to you to do your research.
And certainly the fact that he did now investigate, he definitely should. But
I then take on that responsibility.
Right. But in any case where there is any doubt whatsoever about any sort of disclosure, whether it's a seller or an agent, always in the interest of fairness and rightfulness, disclose. You're better off.
There you go. Awesome. Well, a big thank you to our special guest here in the studio today, Paul Franco.
Thank you for having me.
Paul Franco, attorney at law. If you have any questions for Paul that are real estate related, Paul's direct line, 389-5853. Again, 389-5853. Also, a big thank you to Michelle Lynn Pettis.
It was a litigious day.
It was a litigious day, wasn't it? Johnny, please don't litigious us after this show's over with.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Our goal with the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
back to a litigious home.
Don't forget to tune into the Real Estate Radio Network next Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. on 105.9, the FM KMJ. Local news, local talk. Make it a great day, Central Valley, and we will see you next week.
The preceding program was paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.